Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us again today. Myself and Lauren are joined by the lovely Nathan, who's one of our lead creative producers in our digital team. Today, we're going to talk about Nathan's job role, what he does now, how we got to where he is in his career, and then we're going to answer some questions from you guys, from social media and LinkedIn. And yeah, hopefully have quite an interesting conversation. So hello, Nathan. How are you?
Hello, I am good, thank you. Yes, all good.
All good. Are you good, Lauren? Sorry, didn't.
Oh yeah, I'm fine. I'm always great. It's all good.
Good. Great. Thank you for joining us, Nathan.
No problem.
Hopefully this will be quite fun and quite entertaining for everybody to listen to. So do you want to just introduce yourself really quickly and quickly just talk about what you do at the studio?
Yes, I'm Nathan. I'm the lead creative producer for the digital team. So we do lots of different things from apps to YouTube videos to websites, social media and all that stuff. And so as the creative producer, I create a lot of the content that goes on those platforms and kind of make sure everything's on brand and just kind of generally help out with different creative bits and pieces where I can.
Awesome.
Nice.
I mean, we've been really excited to have a chat with you because every time we come into the studio, there's always Nathan who commandeered a corner of the studio for a really cool, mysterious project. And we're like, what is he doing today? This is so cool. Yeah.
And I feel like we only kind of learned recently how much digital actually do.
Right.
And the impact that you guys have on the studio and the amount of work that you guys do and bring into the studio and all of this. You guys just carry on and do your thing without much fuss. And then suddenly we have these big calls and it's like, oh my God, the numbers that you guys pull in are crazy.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, it'll be really interesting to hear about all of that, I think. How long have you been with us now?
So officially only 2 years because technically I was Alpha Limited for the first 2 years. So originally I was on the Alpha team and then moved over to Blue Zoo January 2020. So I started at Alpha Limited, which is technically a separate company to Blue Zoo, but it's part of that Blue Zoo family. So Blue Zoo put the rights and the ownership of their shows Alpha and Number within Alpha Limited. So that side of things in terms of rights management and licensing and stuff was where I sat and doing all the brand management.
How exciting. It's always great like hearing about what everybody else does because you'd think that we would know more, but if we don't have to recruit for that specific show or project or department, it's quite hard for us to get in, especially that we're working remotely, a lot of us now. So with your role, when it comes to like hybrid working and stuff, have you got like a balance with going into the studio and working from home, or is it more leaning towards the studio because of your role?
Yeah, it's ironic. I'm at home today, but almost all the time I'm in the studio. I try to be in the studio 5 days a week. I'm one of the rare people who actually does prefer to work in the studio like all the time. So even during COVID, I was one of the few people who was in the studio because obviously no one was in, so it was okay for me to be in. But yeah, so I didn't have a great home setup, so I was just allowed to jump on in, and it was fine. I was at one end of the room, IT was at the other end. It was great. But yeah, so that's very much a personal choice. Though I could technically do my job from home, but yeah, I like being in the studio. I like being social and everything else. So yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Cool. Do we kind of want to talk about what digital as a team kind of do in a bit more detail? Because I think a lot of people outside of the studio that are working in the industry or want to get into the industry maybe don't know that much about working in that side of things. And we've had quite a few of our animators, for example, that have started with you guys and then have moved on into long form or short form or whatever it might be. Because I think a lot of people don't realise they can work in digital and have a career there or start there or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
So it might be quite interesting to hear about what you guys do and what you guys look after. As much as you can say, because I don't know how much you can.
Yeah. All good. To simplify it down to a point where some people will be annoyed because I'll probably be glossing over a lot of what goes on at Bluezoo. But I guess if you split it into two trains of thought of there's client work and then there's own IP. So including short form in the client work, but then also long form in terms of things like Pip and Posy and those shows. We don't do any of those shows. so we do everything else that is own IP. So all the block shows are owned by Bluezoo, Big Tree City, Millie and Lou, every now and then on the Ostrich. And so we kind of manage the digital platforms of that side. So we run the YouTube channels for them. We make new apps. We manage the websites, and the websites have shops and stuff like that. And so we do all of that sort of stuff. And so for the YouTube channels, which is probably my biggest area, we make lots of videos. Every day we're making new videos for 9 different... I want to say 9, I think it's more. It grows every time. But we do in different languages and everything else. So yeah. But we're putting out videos every day across these channels. And so obviously we have editors who are making those videos, but we don't just want to constantly just recut different episodes into compilations all the time. So we try and be creative with it, and we try and either make those compilations more creative or also make new bespoke content for the channels.
I was going to ask, what's that balance like between kind of reusing content and cutting it together and doing all of that, and then kind of fresh, brand new work, animation, whatever it might be? What's that balance like in digital across YouTube?
In terms of like the amount of videos that go out, the balance is probably 85% compilations and 15% bespoke. But that's maybe because there's just so many videos going out, and the editors are just working constantly, and it's great. Yeah. But then, in terms of like the time and effort we put into all of it, it's fairly 50-50 across the board. It's just, obviously those bigger projects take longer to get off the ground. And
of course. And you guys work quite collaboratively with other departments in the studio, right?
Yes,
So there's devs, there's marketing, there's
licensing and stuff,
licensing. What's that like, getting to work with so many different aspects of the studio?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, so when I was at Alpha Limited, I worked across both digital and licensing. So that was really fun and very new for me. And so it's great to still have an understanding of that process and then still be able to work with them and apply some of that knowledge continuously. And then, all the departments are lovely and everyone's great. And so, it's great to get just a variety of experiences and understand the business a bit better. And all good.
Yeah, nice.
Amazing. It's so cool, like, hearing about it every time, because, like, you forget about the outreach, especially, like, the block series have. Like, when I was in Tenerife with my partner, we were having lunch and I looked over and we were in a restaurant and there was a kid watching them on their iPad. And I was like, oh my God. You forget when you're in the studio because it's so insular, but it does have such a big outreach, especially as children.
I've gone, like when people ask me what I do, people not in the animation industry or anything like that, I'll go, do you do these shows like Number and stuff? They go, Number. I'm like, you don't have kids. Why do you know about this show? What is this? But people know. It's amazing. Yeah. It's great.
I mean, that's how I got like my cool badge from my cousin, because he was like, you work for an animation studio like Disney? I was like, no, not Disney. We do like Paddington. And he was like, Pip and Posy. He's like, it's like Number Blocks. He's like, oh my God. Number Blocks is my favorite show ever. So I was like, great, cool.
That's it.
Oh,
cool. Yeah, so it's really interesting to like hear the breakdown of what you do and what the digital team do. But when you were studying in the past, I know that there's going to be a blog post about this soon. Look at it on our socials. But when you started studying, or you were thinking about what you wanted to do in the future, was it vastly different to what you are doing now, or were you always kind of on this track to be a producer kind of role?
I think it's funny. I think when people ask me what I wanted to do when I was a kid, so I always said animator. But if someone specifically, I think I was using the very colloquial way of saying animator, where it's like working in animation. If you do anything in animation, you are an animator, no matter what your role is. And realistically, the actual responsibilities that a producer has and that side of things is much more what I was interested in. So I think writing and producing has always been my main passion. And even when I was a kid, that was always what I wanted to do. Was doing my own little short films and everything else. So it's even though I was saying animator, producer was really what I wanted.
That was the dream.
Yeah,
that was the dream.
Yeah.
How did you end up here at Bluesy? What was your progression like from leaving school to now, basically? Like how did you end up here?
It's funny. So he's going to tell me off for talking about this.